Alright, welcome back, fishing friends. Today's episode, I'm going to show you my top 5 wintertime baits. Alright, first start off with, which many people probably use, is going to be a jig. I'm not sure of the name of the jig. It's black and blue. I prefer to throw either the black and blue and it doesn't really matter to me whether the water's clear or dirty. I'm sure it matters, but I'm not really sure which one you should throw it in. I should have did a little more research, but it's okay. I prefer to throw the watermelon red flake just because it works so good in the ponds that I fish. But sure, if you ask a lot of other YouTubers out there, in their top 5s, I'm sure jig is one of them. I like throwing the football head jig myself, but you know, put your little trailer on there. This is some kind of rage-tailed grub, I think. Trim up your skirt. Always trim up your skirt. Give it a little character. That's why it's got some short strands, some long strands. Thins out the skirt a little bit, so it's not as big as a profile. You know, because some fish can be finicky. And me, myself, personally, I like flaring out my weed guard. Because, see, when you get it in the pack, it's kind of like all bunched together and it covers the hook, but not as well as I like. So, what I like to do is flare it out a little bit like that. Okay, and it gives you a little more coverage, as you can see. Okay. That would be my top 1. Second bait I'd go to would probably some kind of Cinco. This is a Strike King's version of the Cinco. I'd use it either on a drop shot mainly. You can hook it up Texas rig or Carolina rigged, but for me, most of the time, it works best with drop shot, and I'll belly hook it in the center. So it's on the bait, almost wacky style, and it's caught me a lot of fish. I like to use the black and blue on that also. Sometimes I'll use a different one. It's called baby bass. It's green with silver belly. Okay. Number 3, and probably my most favorite one to use. I know I said the jig is most everybody else's favorite, but my most favorite would be some kind of soft plastic, preferably a creature bait. And my personal favorite is Strike King's Room. Okay, it's got little appendages. They're a great bait, but they're very weak. Let's say, for instance, you know, I can catch probably 3 bass on it as long as they don't rip off the appendages, and then I gotta replace it. But the legs and stuff, they're the real weak things, and most time you get a small bass, you know, they'll grab the tails, the pinchers, or the legs and rip them off, and then you gotta replace it anyway. But you know, it's caught me a lot of fish. My personal best, my PBs came off of it 6.14. I caught off the rodent, and caught another one that was 6.8 off the rodent. A lot of big fish have been caught off of this particular bait. Okay, the pinchers are attached in the center, but you just break them apart and, you know, hook it up with I like using like a number 5 EWG wide gap hook, 1/4 ounce tungsten, and in the winter sometimes I'll even go down as far as 1/8 just to get a slower fall rate. But overall, this bait's caught me the most fish. Number 4 would be probably be crankbait. This is made by Bomber. The lake I fish at, this one dives 6 to 8 foot. I don't really fish anywhere that's real deep. The deepest lake I probably fish in is about 12 foot in its deepest spot, but you know, for the most part, you know, you basically just, I'll fish it on a 7-foot rod, 7'3", something like that. Most of the time 7-foot rod. I'll use fluorocarbon in the winter because fish are more finicky. You know, they tend to shy away from it if you use braid or what have you. But basically, all you want to do is match the depth to your match your crankbait to the depth of water that you're fishing, because you want to be able to bang off the bottom, get an erratic action from the bait, you know, where instead of it just swimming like this, you want it to bump, dart sideways, you know, hit logs, rocks, whatever you might have in your lake. But reel it as slow as you can in the wintertime. I mean, barely turn your handle. I fish it on 6-4-1 Black Max made by Abu Garcia, but you fish as slow as you can, bump off of stuff. 90% of the time they'll tear it up. Caught some pretty big fish off of it. Last but certainly not least, I just got really fishing, started fishing them a lot, is jerkbait. This one is also Strike King. I like a lot of Strike King products, of course. I'm not sponsored by it, but hey, Strike King, if you want to sponsor me, I'll be glad. Pretty much I just, you know, I use Rapala too, but Strike King, in my personal opinion, is just a better made bait. You know, it costs a little bit more. Yeah, it's more on the high end of lures, but you know, I think this lure here costs about $8 to $10, something like that. As where the Rapalas only cost about $5 or $6. But you know, I've only caught one fish on a jerkbait, but like I said, I'm starting to use them more from checking out videos on YouTube and stuff like that. You know, basically you just crank it down to the depth it goes, and it's slow suspending. You know, it'll either rise real slow or it'll just hold that. Now in the winter, the bass, what they like is, how you want to fish it is you crank it down a little bit and then give it a couple quick jerks on slack line. You give it, and the bait will dart sideways like this. Give it 1 or 2, 3 jerks like that, and then pause. Sometimes you want to pause for like a minute or two. Sometimes, well, I say a minute or two, but you want to pause for like 30 seconds. But when the water's really cold, you might want to wait a minute or two, literally, and then pop it again on slack line 1 or 2 times, and it'll jerk sideways like this. And when you pause it, I mean, the bass will tear it up. I don't know why, but they do. I guess they just can't stand that bait sitting in their face. But that'll pretty much do it for my top 5. Please remember, like, subscribe, and always, as always, leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Thanks for watching. See you.